Now the cattle in the cutting pen are stirring up the dust. I ride slowly in and drive one out. I feel his muscles tighten as he stops and plants his feet. He spins and whirls, I know without a doubt. I was born to be a cowboy, I've got a cowboy soul. This 3-year-old I'm riding has a heart of solid gold. He was born to be a champion, he'll be number one. So Fort Worth, here we come, on the run.
Hi, I'm Red Stegall. Stay with us for the next hour as we present the National Cutting Horse Association 1990 World Championship Futurity. Held at the Will Rogers Coliseum in Fort Worth, Texas, it's a combination Kentucky Derby and Super Bowl to the world of cutting. The prize money, $1.3 million. All the horses are 3-year-olds who have never before been shown in competition. That's what makes this event so exciting. Rookie horses and big money. Stay with us. We'll be right back with a 1990 NCHA Futurity.
Before the competition starts, let's learn a little more about the exciting sport of cutting. As shown by the Chevy truck overhead cam, the object is fairly simple: to cut or separate an individual animal from the rest of the herd and keep that cow from returning to the herd. Now, a panel of 5 judges score the rides on a range from 60 to 80 points. The high and low scores are tossed out, and the other 3 are added together for the total. Points are earned for such things as a good, clean cut and controlling the cow in the center of the arena. Penalty points are subtracted for rule infractions. A common 1-point penalty occurs when the horse is out of position. Now, that's called a miss. Now, here is a rider who's working his cow, but his horse gets too close to the herd, flushing out one of the cows, resulting in a 3-point penalty. Now, the worst thing that can happen is when a cow gets by the horse and returns to the herd. That's called losing a cow, and it costs 5 points. Cutting is a contest between the horse and cow, with the rider having the best seat in the house. When everything is right, it can feel like a dance, with the horse countering every move to keep the cow from returning to the herd. It's time for the non-pro finals, and joining me is color commentator Pat Steenberg. Patrick, what can we expect from the non-pro contestants?
Red, tonight we're going to see the best non-pro riders on top of the world's greatest 3-year-old cutting horses. They're going for about $350,000 in prize money. Now, as a non-pro, they can't train horses and earn money, but they sure can win a bunch.
Well, why don't you and I get out of here and let these folks go to work?
Sounds good.
The first contestant in the non-pro finals is Vicki Hansma from Fredericksburg, Texas. Vicki's riding a mare named Smart Little Till.
Now, Vicki won this non-pro championship here in 1988. Back for another shot tonight. And she's an artist by profession when she's not riding these horses. When she set her horse free, what she's trying to do is control that cow in the center of the arena and not letting her return to the herd. She's doing a pretty good job of that, as you can see. Horse is working on a nice loose rein as she's supposed to. Mirrors those movements pretty well. Red, I think the judges might like this to start off the evening. She's giving them something to shoot at.
And Vicki sets the pace with a 2:16. Our next rider is Spencer Harden from Millsap, Texas, riding All That Jazz.
Now, Red, Spencer won the Open Division title here last year on a half-brother of this horse. Won the non-pro title 3 times in his illustrious career, and he's mounted to win it again. Now, watch the expression on this horse. Works nice and low to the ground. Draws that cow into it. That's the way you want to do it, stopping her right in the center of the pen. You know, the good riders tend to stay out of the horse's way and let the horse do the work, and Spencer's one of the great ones. He quit nice and clean, which you can see when that cow turns away from you. That's when the rider can quit or go in to get his second cow. Now, we're only watching the highlights of each of these runs. Each rider really has 2.5 minutes to show their horse to the judges. Panel of 5 judges out there. He's also got 4 helpers, his turnback men, and his corner help, kind of keeping the cow in play. Watch the alertness on this horse. They really like to do their job, and they'll set him free. Now he's got her cut. Cutting's a real patient game, but this is where the thrill comes in. This is where your adrenaline gets pumping. This crowd at Will Rogers knows a good cutting horse. Got time for one more quick cut. Digs are out. This is the same game that's been played here in this part of Texas since the 1800s, only now it's in the arena for a lot of money. Wants to finish on a high note if he can, finish working that cow. And he does just that. Presents a nice, pretty picture to the judges. Spencer, a real veteran, and will await the score.
And Spencer scores a 217.5. And now entering the herd is Tim Berry from Byron, Illinois. And Tim's riding Freckles Doc's Oak.
Now, Tim's in the cattle business and owns a livestock auction company up in Illinois. Interestingly, he tried to sell this horse back in July, couldn't get her sold, and now he's here tonight. Got that first cow cut a little bit off to the side. He would have preferred in the middle, but he'll be all right. This horse can show. He won the semifinals with a 219.5 last night. And it's his first time in the finals for Tim Berry. Good stopping horse. Sits down nice. Comes right out of the turn.
Patrick, that looked a little rough at the beginning of the cut. Why don't we take a look at the Chevy truck overhead cam and see if you can help explain it to us.
Well, it was a little rough, Red. He had to send his horse off to the side to get this cow cut. He had her in the middle, and then cow broke off on him. He's got the 2 cows here. Now he has to bring his mare back. And he's going to get this one separated, but she's just not in the center of the arena. It's not a credit-earning situation as it would have been had he done this right in the middle of the pen.
Even with that, the judges liked the run, and they scored a 216.5. Our next rider's from Stephenville, Texas, Matt Gaines. Matt's riding a mare called Playboy's Linnea.
Now, Matt's a 21-year-old college student at Tarleton State. And like some of these good cutting horses, he comes from great blood himself. His dad, Dick, won this event in 1976. Matt's only been riding cutting horse about 8 years, but he can show this horse. She's got her ears laid back, just watching that cow, eyeing every move, sitting down hard and turning. This is just what you want to get done, right in the center of the pen. A lot of intensity in this horse. Plus, he's got a good cow to work. You can only cut as good as that cow tests you. Very nice on that cow. What he's wanting to do is present a pretty picture to the judges, and really the runs that are great is when you riders along as a silent partner. Now there's a good quick gutty cut, picks one off at the edge. He'll try to end up on a real high note for these judges. This run just keeps building throughout. She's really come together for this finals here tonight. She's looked good all week, but tonight she looks great.
Patrick, that's the best ride of the night so far. A 219.5, and that puts Matt well into the lead. In a moment, we'll be right back with more cutting horse action from the NCHA Futurity. One of the hottest non-professionals in 1990 was Sandy Benelli. She started off on a good note. She won the non-professional championship right here at last year's Futurity.
It's almost impossible to explain the thrill of winning the Futurity. It's a feeling that if I could bottle it, I could sell it for a lot of money. You work here and you spend all those hours every day for 2 years training a horse you believe is capable, and in 2.5 minutes it can either fit or not, depending on whether you cut the right cows that day. I believe Some of the reason I do well in the non-pro is because I have the ability to buy nice horses, and I can spend lots of time on my horses and train them to fit me so I can go show and win.
Well, we're back at the Will Rogers Coliseum for the non-pro finals, and our next rider is Tommy Mannion of Aubrey, Texas, riding a stallion, Reba's Little Lena.
Red, Tommy's one of the most successful pleasure horse riders of all time. He's been riding cutting horses just a couple of years, but he's gone right to the top of the ranks in the non-professional class. He's riding a stallion. A lot of people wouldn't think stallions could work this kind of well, but if they've got cow sense, they're well-bred, good-minded, they can get them done, just like he's doing here. Now, this horse is showing a lot of action. The cow's a little numb. He's not getting a lot of test from the cow, but his horse sure is active. You rack up points really on how well your horse does, but the cow has to test you.
Tommy scores a 2:16.5. That puts him in a tie with Tim Berry. Our next rider is Sherry Wolfenbarger from Malibu, California. And Sherry's riding Lena O'Lady.
Now, Sherry grew up in the great horse state of Kentucky, has since moved to California, lives in the Malibu region. She gets to the finals, it seems, in just about every NCHA event. She won a big one last fall out in Reno, Nevada. Now, she showed a lot of different horses in her life. She loves the thrill she gets when she rides a cutting horse. Sitting down, look at the intensity on this horse. That cow's trying all she can do to get back, but this mare is blocking every move she makes. Sherry can only direct this horse's movements with her legs. Remember, she can't use the reins at this point. Needs to get this cow back in the center if she can. A little bit behind there, but it's still all right. That won't cost her any penalty points, Red. She'll be okay. Let's see how they like it.
Sherry marks a 2:16.5, and Patrick, she looks pleased about that. Our next rider is Julie Roddy from Clements, California, and Julie is aboard Little Chexy Lena.
Julie's another one of the top competitors from our West Coast. You know, and California's really become a hotbed for this sport in recent years. She competes in every NCHA major event, has never won the big one, and maybe this will be her night, Red. She is mounted to win. This is nice sweeping movements this horse is showing. Got to get this cow to test her a little more. Her horse is working nice and true, not cheating on the ends, making nice hard stops. Just overrunning that cow just enough. But she makes it look easy, doesn't she? It's the great ones do in every sport. You know, cutting's open to men and women, young and old, and you'll see everybody here tonight in the Futurity. All different types of people, all mounted on great 3-year-old horses. She's getting a lot of good time working this cow. That's how you rack up some credit points. Oh, right at the buzzer there, her horse starts to quit. I don't know if you saw that, Red. It happened real fast, but the judges will tell us whether she was saved by the buzzer. The cow spun off, and the horse just kind of stood there for a second. Let's see.
Well, Julie Roddy scores a 2:14.5. Not enough to win, but it'll get her in the money. The last rider in the non-pro finals is Tracy Miller from Trabuco Canyon, California, aboard Smart and Sassy. And she's going to have a pretty smart and sassy ride if she's going to beat Matt Gaines and his 2:19.5.
Now, this is Tracy's first time in the Futurity finals. She's only been riding cutting horses about 5 years. She's here in the pressure cooker, the last horse to work. See if her horse can get this done. She's countering the move. Needs a little more action out of that cow. Needs to force it a little bit here. She's rating this cow all right, but she needs to test her a little more. I'm just not sure this is going to be enough of a run. She looked all right, Red, but I don't know. She's got to get some points.
And Tracy Miller has a good ride, a 2:14.5, but not good enough to beat Matt Gaines, who is now the 1990 NCHA Futurity non-professional champion.
Well, I've been riding horses ever since I could walk, I guess, and showing since I was about 13. And there's nothing like this, I guarantee you that much, but it's the greatest moment of my life right now.
Matt describes that winning ride for us.
Right here, I just got my first cow cut, and she started out a good cow, and my mare felt good, and I knew that, you know, as long as I stayed clean, I didn't make any mistakes, and just gave her an opportunity to do what she could do, that I might have a shot. she was good the whole time. Right here, my cow kind of started getting numb, and I was wanting off pretty bad. I didn't think it was helping me that much, and she finally gave me a chance. Went to cut the second cow.
Matt picks up a check for a little over $35,000 as the 1990 non-pro Futurity champion. And now let's take a look at the final results from the non-pro competition. In first place, of course, is Matt Gaines. Second is Spencer Harden. A three-way tie for third between Tim Berry, Tommy Mannion, and Sherry Wolfenbarger. Sixth place goes to Vicki Hansma, and Julie Roddy and Tracy Miller tie for seventh. We'll be right back with more from the 1990 NCHA Futurity right after this. One of the most popular events here at the Futurity is a celebrity cutting. Personalities from the sports and entertainment world are invited to compete against each other. And while some are experienced cutters, others just sort of wing it. First to ride is actor Michael Keaton. He's probably best known for his role as Batman, but Michael has appeared in several hit films. But this evening is only the second time Michael has competed on a cutting horse.
Red, you know, the first time Michael got to show was last November out at the Pacific Coast Celebrity Cutting in Burbank, California, and he took second place in his first show. So let's see how he does here tonight against this stiff competition. He's riding a 10-year-old horse named Acorn Chex, owned by the Oxbow Ranch. He's sitting down, isn't he? You know, a guy like this doesn't get much chance to practice, but he does have some fun on it. The fans appreciate it, and let's see how he does.
And Michael Keaton's ride was good enough to score 185. Next up is former Dallas Cowboy Randy White. As a defensive tackle, Randy was voted most valuable player of Super Bowl 12 back in 1978. Now, Randy has shown in several local competitions, but this is his very first time at the Futurity Celebrity Cutting.
It really is an exciting feeling to get on one. And, you know, you watch them work and see the great athletic ability of the horses. Then to get on there and try and stay on him and try and stay in the middle of that horse is kind of a challenge. And I've really enjoyed it.
He does look like he's having fun, Red. You know, it's great to see an athlete like this pick up another sport, and cutting's an ideal competition for an ex-football player. I think we're going to see Randy on cutting horses a bunch more, and these Fort Worth fans sure appreciate it.
Well, Randy does a little better than Michael Keaton and marks a 202. Our next celebrity rider is one of the world's most successful models, Christy Brinkley. Christy just recently began cutting and is competing in weekend shows.
You know, Red, Rusty and Diane Lever got Christy started on a cutting horse up on Long Island. This week they brought her down. She's been working with Punk Carter. See how all this practice pays off.
We had a chance to visit with Christy in Texas and at the Indian Field Ranch near her home on the eastern tip of Long Island.
I have a very hectic life, and whenever I start to get too tense or too caught up in things, I get out on my horse, and it's just so relaxing, and it's so wonderful to be out there. Whether I'm cutting or just riding, I mean, I really like a balance. I like to be cutting on my horse, and then I like my horse to have the relaxation of going out and riding in a really beautiful area. And we're really fortunate around here. We've got beaches and bays and dunes and hills, and it's really beautiful. So I get out there and just sort of, my mind just relaxes and just sort of float along. And of course, when you're in cutting, well, you can't be thinking about anything else except that cow. So all your problems just, they're gone. Cutting, no matter, you know, what level you're on, you're always going to get a different ride. You never know what to expect. You know, it's that aspect, I think, that keeps the longevity of cutting. I mean, I see cutters out there that are like, you know, 70 years old, and they're just as tickled by it because every ride is different. No matter how good you get, no matter how much you've learned, you're not going to go out and repeat exactly what you did, you know, in your last ride. It's going to be different, and it's always thrilling. And then when you get a cow that's really sets up in the middle and your horse decides to do that, oh, I love that. It's like dancing, you know, it's just, love it.
It's great to see her get to do something she loves, huh, Red? I'd say she got along with that mare pretty well. 10-year-old named Precious Playboy, owned by the Carter family. Folks do appreciate it.
The crowd loves it, and Christie scores a 2:13. Former Pittsburgh Steeler Mel Blunt's the next competitor. As a defensive back, Mel played in 5 Super Bowls during the Steelers' heyday. Mel owns farms in both Pennsylvania and Georgia, and he's been riding cutting horses for over 10 years.
Now, Mel's riding a stallion here, belongs to Norman Bruce out of Georgia, named Hyda's Sugar Doc. I think we're going to see this experience tell here. And there's a football player who knows how to sit a saddle. That's a real nice, clean ride, Red. Everything right in the middle like it's supposed to be.
Mel's experience shows, and he scores a 2:17. Well, up next is actor Larry Wilcox. Larry's probably best known for his role on the successful television series Chips. Larry's always been a horseman, but he's just now getting into cutting.
This sport, to me, is finesse. And you can't just get out there and be a dummy and chew tobacco and spit and get on the horse doesn't get it. There's some intellectual aspects of this sport that I find intriguing and fascinating and provoking. It's almost like golf. It's never quite tangible.
You know, this horse, Tari Starlight, Red, is owned by country and western star Lynn Anderson, another great cutter. Larry's been in lots of horse sports, but he says his cutting is now his game.
Larry's been practicing for the celebrity cutting all week long, and it really pays off as he marks a 2:19 and takes the lead. The last rider is country artist Tanya Tucker. Tanya's been performing since she was 9 years old, and she's had several #1 hits. Tanya also has been riding cutting horses since she was a teenager.
Well, I got on my first cutting horse when I was 14, and that was at the World Championships in Las Vegas when they were still held at the Stardust. And I'll never forget it. I mean, it's just so much power beneath you. It's almost like driving a Porsche car is exactly like riding a cutting horse.
Tanya's been talking about coming in one of these celebrity cuttings for a couple years now. She's mounted to win this thing if she can stay on board. Riding a great horse named Mr. Sam Dancer, owned by professional golfer Hal Sutton. Tanya came to win the buckle. Let's see how she does.
Tanya scores a 2:20 with the best ride of the night and wins the 1990 NCHA Futurity Celebrity Cutting.
I'd like to see more of this happening for celebrity cutting, because I think it's a really wonderful event, and to see people get more into cutting is a great thing for us, and that's what we want to do. We want to turn the world onto something we've known about for a while.
So here are the final standings of the celebrity cutting. Tanya Tucker is our champion. Larry Wilcox finishes second, and Mel Blunt takes third. Stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going cutting in Hawaii.
Most people, think of Hawaii with surfers, palm trees, and tourist industry and hula dancers. But we have a viable cattle community here, and ranches and the like, and the cutting horses are fitting in right into this community of ours with ranching, and it's viable and it's strong and it's getting better every year. Over the recent years, through the amount of horse brought into the States and the quality and the like, these horses have really brought us closer, both people and the cutting horse industry. Showing cutting horses in Hawaii are really different from showing horses on the mainland, and the biggest obstacle is hauling your horses to shows. You know, we have to put our horses in a trailer and haul them to the pier and put them on a barge, and they're transported over the water, anywhere from 10, 12 to 20 hours overseas.
This cutting is fun. It's actually the year-end Hawaii Cow Horse Championships. And in that we have the non-pro, the novice, and of course the open. We're probably actually a total of about 52 cutters here today. And of course, again, they have come in from the mainland as well as the outer islands. And everybody builds up for that one big weekend for down here in the end of the year for the cutting. The competition, of course, is a lot stiffer back on the mainland, but here we're still having a lot of fun.
Cutting in Hawaii right now, I think, is just right at the point it's fixing to start really blossoming. I've noticed a lot of people bringing in some really good horses now over here, and they're bringing in some trainers to help show their horses over here, and I really think it's going to take off and get better and better.
The competition here at the NCHA Futurity reaches a climax during the final round of the open division.
The open class is open to any rider on any horse, any color, any conformation, any breed. It mainly is dominated by trainers. That's how trainers make their living in this business.
The purse for the open division is over $800,000. Well, our first horse to work is Sea Chick Twist, ridden by Kathy Dawn and owned by Dean Butler of Ruidoso, New Mexico.
Now, Kathy's the first rider in the herd, and cutters don't usually like to draw up first, but gives them something to shoot at. Now, 1985, Kathy won this event aboard a horse named the Gymnast. Really catapulted her to the top of the professional ranks. She's got a cow that's moving pretty good. Now, if you cut a good cow, you can mark a good score. That's a real key in this. She's gonna have to get a little more done on her next one, though. Now, remember, we're only watching the highlights of these runs. They have 2.5 minutes. We're just watching the best of the action. Now the run's building. She's got her a cow stop in the middle. See how this horse is throwing Kathy around? This is one hard turning gelding here. Yeah, this run will set the pace. That'll give the rest of the riders something to shoot at tonight.
Kathy Dawn and Sea Chick Twist mark a 2:16. Our second horse to work in the open finals is Dux Fizzabar, ridden by Tom Lyons and owned by Earl and Kay Holder of Ojai, California.
Red, we're seeing a real who's who in riders tonight. Tom Lyons was aboard the 1973 Futurity champion Dux Marmoset. Watch this long, tall cowboy show a horse. Makes it look nice and smooth. Tom used to play a lot of basketball. He puts a good impression to the judges. This man's got about $3 million in career earnings. Might have heard his help say get off, and Tom did right there. Tom's won a bunch of money. You know, last year in NCHA events around the country, we gave away over $17 million in prize money. Tom's talking to his help, trying to get this one cow cut. Needs to get a little more done here. Now he's got her set up. Can't quite get her stopped in the center, though, can he?
Thank you, number 54, Doc's
Not bad, but we'll see how it scores.
And Tom Lyons aboard Doc's Fizzlebar scores a solid 213.5. The next horse entering the arena is Lena's Talassus, ridden by Doug Jordan and owned by Jimmy W. Rogers Sr. of Rohnert Park, California.
The Futurity is really where stars are born, both horses and riders. A couple of years ago, Doug Jordan entered this arena and nobody knew who he was. Rode a great stallion named Colonel's Little Pepper. Went to a work-off with Bill Freeman where he eventually lost, but he's back tonight on another stallion. And if you can get a stallion to win this thing, you've got yourself a horse worth some money. And look how this horse likes to sit down on his back end and just come through that turn real smooth. Just quick front feet. Getting off to the side a little bit, though. Got time for one more quick cow. They don't get extra points for cutting a third cow. They just want to show the judges how well they can do it.
Doug Jordan and Lena's Talassus score a 214. Patrick, let's take a look at some of Doug's herd work.
All right, Red, this Chevy truck overhead cam will give us a real good view of the cutting horse, doing just what he's done since the 1800s. He goes deep into the herd, drives out, about 2/3 of the bunch toward the center of the arena. See some of them peeling back now to the safety by the back fence. The rider at this point is directing his horse nice and calm, nice and easy. It's a thinking man's game. His help will be helping to push those cattle back off. He wants to get one cow isolated.
Our next horse is Pepe's from Heaven, ridden by Gary Belenfant and owned by Mr. and Mrs. Larry Hall of Weatherford, Texas.
Gary's had a couple great years. In 1989, he won 2 big NCHA events, the Super Stakes and Derby. Seems to be getting in the finals all the time now. He's one of the real masters of this sport, studies his cows. Riding this mare nice and true. He likes his horses to be real cow horses. Nothing showy, nothing flashy, just getting the job done. The owner of this horse, Larry Hall, is one of the top non-professionals these days.
Gary and Pepe's from Heaven score a 215. Here at the Futurity, there's a whole other world outside the arena. There's a lot more to it than just saddling up your horse and riding. So let's follow professional trainer Bill Riddle through a typical day at the Futurity.
At these things, you wake up a little earlier than you'd really like to. We get the horses out, clean them up, saddle them, exercise them. We try to get them to relax and get some nice, easy movement in them and get them a little tired so that they feel like they've done a little work. These horses have a way of coming up for the competition, and I don't really know why they do. But a horse that you have to ride for 20 or 30 minutes at home to prepare him to work may take 2 or 3 hours at a show. And I think part of that is the fact that when we show him, we're a little more tense. There's a little more intensity. You have your help close. The horse senses that there's quite a bit going on, and I think the horse perhaps picks up some of the adrenaline that we get when we show him, and for that reason we have to get him a little tired, or he has to be a little more mellow before we go down to show him. The thing that I try to do first is get acquainted with the cattle so that I know roughly that there's 3 or 4 black mounts and however many reds, and so that I know can keep up with which cattle have been already worked when I go down to show my horse. Normally you look for a cow that's comfortable in the herd. Sometimes the cattle will be squirty. They'll tend to break and run when they get around the settling horse, and that lets you know that cow's probably not going to be very good to work. All in all, through the years, if you study the cattle carefully and present your horses well and have success year after year, you can sustain a career as a trainer in this business.
Let's pick up the action here at the Open Finals of the 1990 NCHA Futurity.
The next horse to work is Super Sand Dandy, ridden by Ronnie Rice and owned by Carol and Judy Welch of Cress, Texas.
Red Ronnie's one of those good young trainers who's getting in the finals all the time. In '89, he took his horse to third place finish. Let's see how he can get done here tonight. Got this gelding stopping real well. He always has his horses trained, I tell you. His brother's also show cutting horses, real successful at it. He just needs this cow to get stopped in front so he can show his horse. She's a little scattered for him tonight. She's just not going to allow him to really mark a high score with that kind of cow.
Ronnie Rice and Super Sand Dandy get a 2:15 for their effort. Now, Patrick, it's important for the folks to remember that all these Futurity horses are 3-year-olds and have never before been shown in competition. Over 600 horses are entered, and many of them were purchased at the annual NCHA Futurity sale.
19 bid, 5, half, now 20, there it goes.
In addition to the competition, another interesting part of the Futurity is the traditional horse auction. Buyers come from around the world to purchase 2-year-old prospects, which will be eligible for next year's NCHA Futurity. At this year's sale, 50 horses were sold for a total of $725,000.
Sold him $23,000.
As we return to the competition, the next horse to work is Smart Play, owned and ridden by Terry Riddle of Wynnewood, Oklahoma.
Coming into this event, Terry is the hottest trainer in 1990. He won the big Super Stakes back in the spring, the Derby in the summer, and he's got this gelding ready to show. Look at how low he likes to work. This is what you call eye appeal on a horse. A lot of style, expression. Here we get a good view of just the foot action. Look at how low this horse's belly is to the ground. There's 12 inches of dirt he's working on, and he's just digging right through it. Now he's got him stopped. Love to watch those horses' feet work. You know, in talking to Terry before the show, he said this horse is really like riding an older, more mature horse. Says he really knows how to read a cow, kind of knows what that cow's doing before he does. And that's kind of strange in a 3-year-old. He's got a pretty good score to beat. Drives one out. There's some pretty little paddle. The fans like that. You're not really marking when that cow's just standing still, but boy, the fans do love it. There's a little action. Terry finished strong. Quits with about 5 seconds on the clock. That won't help him in the final tally, but he had a great run.
That's the best run we've seen so far tonight. And Terry Riddle and Smart Play jump into the lead with a 2:18.5. Now entering the arena is Millie Montana, ridden by Joe Suter and owned by Keith Hall of Phoenix, Arizona.
You know, as we so often see in the cutting horse sport, this is a real family affair. Joe's dad, Gene, just went in the Riders Hall of Fame tonight, and his dad also owns the sire of this horse, a horse named Montana Doc. Joe's looking real pretty here. He's got her set up right in the middle. He was telling me the tougher the cow, the tougher this horse likes to work. Millie Montana, strong-looking mare. And this cow's pressing the issue right here. She's coming in tight. You're going to have to get her turned off. She's holding her every turn, though. She's sticking with her. I tell you, that little mare just showed a lot of grit. High degree of difficulty on that cow. That'll rack up the points. Joe's trying to calm his help down. He's really, I imagine, calming himself down at this point. The adrenaline is flowing. Young man from California, been in the finals a couple times here, but never taken it all. 31 years old. Asked him before the show how his dad helped him. He said, well, Dad gave me the best horses to ride and helped me to get my mind straight. He's got to keep it straight for about 1 more minute here, and he may walk off with Cutting's greatest prize. Nice and patient at this point. Look how calm and easy this mare looks now. She'll be ready as soon as he drops those reins. Needs to get another one cut nice and clean in the center. Very pretty. This horse can put some pretties on him. She is on tonight. countering every move. He may want to finish right here on this cow. Try to get just as much working time as he can. Come on, Joe, no guts, no glory. Millie Montana, that's a ride, Red. That is a ride. I'd say he's happy with that performance. This is going to be right up there. They got to mark him on this one.
Millie Montana and Joe Suter light up the scoreboard with a 2:21.5. That puts them in first place. And boy, that's going to be tough to beat. Patrick, let's take a look with the overhead cam at Joe's first cow. She really put the pressure on him, and that's where he racked up all those points.
Red, I'm glad we can see this from the Chevy Trek overhead cam, because this cow is pressing the issue. She's trying to get back to that herd, trying to get under this horse's neck, right on her shoulder. Now, a lot of mares right here would give ground or back up, but this gritty little mare just stood her ground, faced that cow off, and sent her home. And I think Joe breathed a sigh of relief.
This year, the NCHA would like to dedicate the Futurity to Executive Director Zach T. Wood, Jr., who is retiring after 28 years of dedicated service to the association. To learn more about what it takes to train a young horse for the Futurity, we visited with Bill Freeman, one of the most successful professional trainers in the cutting horse business. Bill has won the Futurity 3 times out of the last 12 years.
In the beginning, when I start a colt, the main important thing that I try and accomplish with this colt is to teach him about a cow, how to handle a cow, not necessarily his physical abilities, because he's born with those. You, yes, have to teach a horse how to stop, how to correctly turn around, but more importantly, you have to teach him mentally. See if I can cut a slow cow here. Here we go. This is a good cow for a beginning horse. Use a little right leg to encourage him to step on over. A little right rein to pull him and let him know which direction that cow is going to go. Again, we're teaching the beginning horse mentally and not physically.
We're back at the Open Finals at the Will Rogers Coliseum, and the score to beat is a 2:21.5, posted by Joe Suter a little earlier in the competition. The next horse to work is Colonel Duhan, ridden by Barbara Schulte and owned by James Beavers and Joe West Davis of New Franklin, Missouri.
Barbara's been around quarter horses all her life, has been training these cutting horses for quite a few years now, and has really moved to the top of her profession. She's got this stallion, Colonel Duhan, ready to show tonight. Look at those long sweeping moves. Just hard stopping. You know, like any great pro, they make it look so easy, don't they? Barbara won the '88 Derby here and would love to take this one home. I think she's going to need just a little bit more cow. They're good hard stops, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Barbara and Colonel Duhan score a 2:18, not quite enough to beat Joe Suter, but it gets her into 3rd place. Only 2 horses are left in the finals, and the next to work is Frosty Royal Lee, ridden by Billy Rosewell Jr. and owned by Pat Norsworthy of England, Arkansas.
Read a pretty interesting story about this little mare. She was purchased for $500 as a yearling. Here tonight in the finals of the biggest cutting horse event there is. Come on, cow, play, will you? Turn back help will get her started. Ooh, she's got some dance steps. She wishes this cow would do something, though. You know, it's kind of the old adage, it's better to cut a bad cow good than a good cow bad. She's putting it on the best she can with this cow, but this cow just isn't going to test her enough. Just not enough cow for that hot of a horse, I think. He's going to try to get just a little bit more done if he can before the buzzer. I don't think he's got much time, though.
The judges score a 2:16 for Frosty Royal Lee and Billy Rosewell Jr. Not enough to get in the lead. There's 1 horse left to try to catch Millie Montana and Joe Suter. That's Shatari Lena, ridden and owned by Merritt Wilson of Era, Texas.
Now, Merritt started showing cutting horses as a youth. There's a pretty big youth program in cutting these days. Won the non-pro championship in '86, but he's going to have to go some to win the Open here tonight. The mare looks quick, but 221.5 is quite a score to beat. Got to put it on him, Merritt. I don't think that'll get him.
Merritt Wilson riding Shatari Lena marks a 2:14. As we recap the standings in the Open Finals, we see Joe Suter and Billy Montana take first place in the 1990 Futurity. Second place goes to Terry Riddle. Barbara Schulte takes third. Kathy Dawn and Billy Rosewell Jr. tie for fourth. Tied for sixth is Ronnie Rice and Gary Belafonte. Doug Jordan and Merritt Wilson tie for eighth, with Tom Lyons finishing 10th. For his first place win, Joe picks up a check for $87,000. Stay tuned, because when we return, we'll talk to the champion and review the winning ride.
Oh, it's something I really can't explain, to tell you the truth. It's kind of like a dream come true to me. Worked a long time to get here. Learned from a lot of good people how to take on going with horses.
And it's pretty obvious that Joe's a happy man as he describes his winning ride.
When I first walked in there, I was looking for which ended up being my second cow. And I seen the black ball-faced cow come out there, and I said, that one ain't been cut. Let's try to shape him. And I kind of got a little tunnel vision on him, but it all worked out, and there we go. Everything started out up there. I was up there far enough, and then all of a sudden the cow just started coming and coming a little tighter and tighter. My mare just kept stopping harder and harder. Ooh, looky there. She's pretty quick, too. Huh? Feeling good right about there, and all of a sudden right here, I start getting a little bit nervous right now. I was starting to wonder if he's going to turn away. There we go. Yeah.
The 1990 Futurity is history. For some of our contestants, it's a successful end to a long year of training. And for others, it's back to the barn with thoughts of what might have been. But come time for the 1991 Futurity, you can bet they'll all be right back in this arena with the best horse they can find. And so will we. I'm Red Stegall, along with Pat Steenberg, saying goodbye from Fort Worth, Texas, and the 1990 NCHA World Championship Futurity.
Now the cutting is all over, I've loaded up my tack. Win or lose, my pony stood the test. Next year in December, I know just where I'll be, here in Fort Worth, giving it my best. 'Cause I was born to be a cowboy, I've got a cowboy soul, and this 2-year-old I'm riding has a heart of solid gold. He was born to be a champion, next year's #1. So Fort Worth, here we come, on the run.
Air transportation provided by Delta Airlines.